My name is Jack Halvorson, and I used to believe that Area 51 was the heart of all American secrets. I spent 5 years chasing UFO sightings, leaked documents, and whistleblower testimonies, trying to uncover the truth behind the desert base. But the deeper I dug, the more it started to feel too visible, too easy to find, too clean. That's when I got a message. It came from a burner email address. No name. Just a subject line that read, Area 51 is a distraction. The real prize is buried in eastern Alaska. Attached was a single file, a blurry satellite image of a massive black structure, half buried in snow and surrounded by what looked like a perimeter fence. The coordinates led to a place near the Yukon-Charlie rivers, miles from any roads, towns, or military bases. I knew immediately this wasn't a hoax. Within a week, I was on a small bush plane out of Fairbanks, flying low over a frozen forest. The pilot, an old man with sun-damaged skin and a thick Alaskan drawl, didn't ask questions. But when I gave him the coordinates, he went silent for a full minute. "You're sure about this?" he finally asked. I nodded. He just muttered, "You won't find anything good out there." The plane dropped me off about 20 miles from the site. There were no roads, just deep snow, sharp winds, and an overwhelming sense of isolation. I hiked for 2 days with a sled, drone equipment, and enough rations to last a week. I saw it on the third morning. Rising from the trees like a buried monolith, the Black Dome. It looked ancient, made from a material I couldn't identify. Not stone. Not metal. Something in between. Smooth and reflective, but it didn't reflect light correctly. Like it absorbed it and gave something else back, something wrong. There were cameras. New ones. I could tell by the design. And movement sensors. Some were active. Others were busted, covered in frost. Whatever this place was, it had been watched recently, but not maintained. I set up camp just outside the dome's perimeter. That night, I sent a drone up for thermal scans. What I found chilled me to the bone. Beneath the structure, hidden deep underground, was a network of tunnels and chambers. And something else, heat signatures. Multiple. Moving. Slow, deliberate. Too big to be human. On the fourth night, I found an opening. A section of the dome was broken, ripped open from the inside. Snow had partially covered it, but I managed to clear enough to crawl in. The air inside was warm. Not just from insulation, this place was generating heat. The walls were covered in symbols. Not language. More like pulses of light embedded in the walls, flickering in patterns that made my head throb if I stared too long. I filmed everything. Then I heard something. A dragging sound. Wet. Heavy. I turned and saw it, just a glimpse, something massive slithering down a tunnel. No face. No eyes. Just movement and the sound of something ancient waking up. I ran back to the surface, heart pounding, but I had what I needed: footage, proof, coordinates. I planned to hike back and get a sat phone signal. Tell someone. Anyone. But when I returned to camp, everything was gone. Tent. Sled. Drone case. My gear. All of it. Vanished. Except one thing, my camera. It was still there, untouched. And someone, or something, had left a message scratched into the snow beside it. You were never alone. I should have panicked, but I didn't. Not right away. The air felt wrong. Like whatever was in that dome was still in me, vibrating behind my eyes. I strapped my camera to my chest and started walking. 20 miles back to the drop point. But I wasn't alone. I started seeing things in the woods. Not clearly, shapes. Flickers. Sometimes shadows moved against the wind. Sometimes trees cracked, not from cold, but from pressure, like something massive brushed past them. And then, halfway through the forest, I found footprints. Not mine. Huge, reptilian impressions in the snow, like something was stalking me. That night, I didn't sleep. I crouched beneath a tree, shivering, clutching my camera like it could protect me. Then came the sound again, that dragging noise. Wet and deliberate. Whatever had been in the dome, it was out now. I found a structure the next morning, an old ranger cabin, boarded up and half frozen. Inside, I found dried food, a cot, and, most importantly, a radio. No power. I searched every inch of that place. There were claw marks on the inside of the walls. Bullet holes. Scraps of military gear left behind. But the most disturbing thing was a journal under the floorboards. Handwritten. Dated 1982. We were told to guard the site, not enter it. But curiosity got the better of Jim. He opened the breach. Only Jim came back. The rest were changed. Their eyes. Their skin. They whispered in languages that hurt to hear. HQ stopped responding. Then the snow started glowing. We tried to run. Something followed us. I think it's learning. I think it wants out. Area 51? That's the stage show. The distraction. The real thing is here. And it's not from any world we know. I kept reading until the last entry. If you're reading this, you're already marked. It can smell you. It will show you what it wants you to see. The rest of the world must never know what we found here. But I think it's too late. That night, I saw them. Humanoid figures, standing just outside the tree line. Not moving. Not blinking. 4 of them. Pale and tall, with stretched skin and no mouths. They didn't move toward me. Just watched. For hours. When I opened my eyes the next morning, they were gone, but footprints led right up to the cabin. Inside, on the wall, were 3 words scratched into the wood. They never left. On the 6th day, I finally got the radio to work using parts from my camera's power pack. Static. Then, a voice. Not from a tower. Not from any official channel. But it was human. If you found the dome, get out. Do not engage. They know you're there. They're watching this broadcast too. You don't understand what you've unearthed. The thing in Alaska, it's not a creature. It's not an object. It's a seed. It lands on worlds, waits beneath the surface, and grows. It sends signals. It alters thought. And when the time is right, it opens. Then silence. I tried to respond, but the signal was dead again. And outside, I saw the snow glowing. That night, it spoke to me. Not with words, but memories. Dreams that weren't mine. I saw cities that never existed. Oceans filled with black stars. A civilization bending time, using living matter to power their structures. And then, extinction. A voice, ancient and endless, echoed in my skull. We are not what you think. We are not from the stars. We are the silence that follows. When I woke, my skin was bleeding faint patterns, glowing faintly like the walls in the dome. I was changing. I had to leave. I had to tell someone before it took my mind completely. I made it back to the drop point on the 9th day. The pilot was waiting, somehow. I figured you'd need a ride, he said quietly, never meeting my eyes. They always do. I didn't ask what he meant. When we took off, I looked back. The forest below us wasn't the same. The snow had melted in strange, perfect circles. Black vines rose from the ground, like antennae or roots. And as we flew, I realized the camera wasn't working anymore. The files were gone. Erased. As if they never existed. Back in the lower 48, I tried to publish what I'd seen. Every attempt failed. Emails bounced. My accounts were locked. Friends stopped answering. I was flagged, monitored, and eventually approached by a man in a dark suit. He didn't identify himself. Just handed me a folder. Inside were photos of me at the dome. From angles I didn't recognize. Some from the air. Some from inside the dome. And then a single note. "Welcome to the real program." He smiled and said something I'll never forget. Area 51 was always meant to keep people looking away. But you looked in the right place. The folder the man gave me had more than photos. Tucked in the back was a map, hand-drawn, old, with strange red ink markings. It didn't show Alaska. It showed the subsurface. It detailed a vast underground structure, stretching miles beneath the earth. At the center was something labeled only as the root core. The root core wasn't beneath the dome. It was deeper, older. The dome was just an access point. A tip of something monstrous. On the back of the map, a single sentence was written. What lies beneath Alaska did not crash here. It was planted. The implication was horrifying. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't from space. It was buried here before humans walked upright. A week later, a different agency contacted me. They didn't use initials. No uniforms. Just clean-cut people in civilian clothes, offering a job I didn't apply for. They called it the Anchorage Protocol. A containment initiative. Their mission wasn't to destroy the entity, but to delay it. They believed it was dormant, for now. But not inactive. It was communicating, slowly, sending pulses across the planet. Testing our minds. Feeding us thoughts. Dreams. Obsessions. Ideas. I'd already been infected. So they offered me a deal, work with them. Help monitor it. Stay close. Or be erased. I didn't have a choice. They embedded me with a recon unit, Echo Team 9. We were stationed at an underground base 60 miles from the original dome site, one not marked on any map. The deeper we went, the less natural the rock became. It wasn't carved. It was grown. Living matter formed the walls. Organic, pulsing, warm. Our mission was to install neuroscanners to track mental intrusion events. They called them whispers. We didn't need scanners to know when they started. One by one, my team began changing. They'd stop mid-sentence and stare. Then they'd talk in riddles. Say things like, "We were always here. You are not in control of your skin. It remembers when we were stars." One night, Jenkins, the team medic, walked straight into the wall and disappeared. No impact. No sound. Just gone. We discovered a deeper chamber we called the nursery. Inside were pods. Thousands of them. Suspended in black ichor, glowing faintly. Inside each pod, human forms. Some fetal. Some adults. None alive. Or at least, not yet. Their eyes moved beneath shut lids. Their mouths twitched. And some of them looked like us. Identical. Clones? Mimics? One of the scientists with us began screaming, claiming he saw his own body in one of the pods. He tried to smash it open. The pod reacted, sprayed him with something. He melted before he could scream again. The wall behind us pulsed with a new light. It showed us our faces. Then it spoke again. We are the seed. You are the soil. That night, the power failed. Emergency lights flickered red. Alarms blared. Something was coming up from the nursery. Not walking. Not crawling. Growing. The base commander ordered an evacuation. Most didn't make it. I barely escaped through a vertical shaft used for cargo. I climbed for nearly 30 minutes, hearing screams echoing from below, and something singing. A song that vibrated through my bones. A lullaby in a language no one should understand, and yet, I did. When I emerged into the snow, the ground shook. A deep hum pulsed from beneath, and for a moment, I felt the earth itself was breathing. I ran. I didn't stop until the helicopter arrived. Only 2 of us made it out. After the escape, my memory fractured. Days went missing. I woke up in motels I didn't recognize. I found strange burns on my skin, spiral patterns. And voices whispered to me every time I closed my eyes. They weren't threats. They were reminders. You saw us. Now you are part of us. My dreams were no longer mine. I saw Earth from space, wrapped in tendrils of darkness. I saw other planets, already consumed, planets where they won. And I realized something horrifying. This wasn't the beginning. This was the middle of the cycle. I went back. I had to. I needed to know how deep this went. I followed the map from the folder, beyond the dome, through collapsed tunnels and bioformed walls, down into something deeper than time. And there, at the core, I saw it. A chamber larger than any stadium. At its center, a pulsating heart the size of a house. Connected to it, veins running through the planet. Feeding. Waiting. And surrounding the heart, thousands of human figures. Standing. Silent. Eyes open. Waiting. One of them looked at me. It was me. Identical. And it whispered. You are the echo. Not the original. You were never the first. You are what we let the world believe is real. Now go. Tell them. It's time. I blacked out. I woke up in my apartment. No gear. No wounds. Just the memory, and the camera. On my desk. It worked again. The footage was there. The map. The pods. The dome. My face among the frozen clones. And now I understand the real reason I'm allowed to share this. Because they want me to. They want you to know. So you'll look. You'll search. You'll be curious. That's how it spreads. The moment you become aware of it, it begins. You start to hear it. Feel it. So go ahead. Keep looking into Area 51. Keep arguing about aliens in the desert. Because while you're distracted, while your eyes are pointed at Nevada, they're already awake beneath the snow in eastern Alaska. And they're not waiting anymore.